You understand yourself better than almost anyone in your life knows themselves. And ironically, it hasn't helped you change a thing about yourself. You can name your patterns, you know where they came from, you know the moment, the reason, the mechanism. You've read the books, maybe done the therapy, and you can explain yourself with a precision that would even impress a therapist. And you still do the thing. You still reach for your phone instead of sleeping. You avoid writing that one email that really matters, or you pick the fight you swore you wouldn't, fully aware, watching yourself doing it. I know that place from the inside, not from above it, because I've been there myself. So here's the question almost nobody answers honestly. If you understand yourself so well, why can't you stop? Nearly every answer out there says the same thing. Understand it more, dig deeper, find the root. But that advice is exactly why you're still stuck. So let me show you why, and let me show you one thing that actually moves the needle. Stay with that frustration for a second, because most people race past it. I mean this very specific helplessness of understanding yourself completely and changing nothing. It isn't confusion due to a lack of knowledge. That is something you could actually fix by learning about the thing you don't know yet. This is worse because you already did the learning. You can sit there mid-pattern, narrating it to yourself in real time, like, this is my avoidance thing, I know exactly why I do it goes back to X or Y. And you carry on doing it anyway. And before you file this under something is wrong with me, hold on. The problem isn't a flaw in you, it's a flaw in the method you picked up. What's happening to you is so common it even has a name. But before we name it, let's take a look at this flawed method. When understanding doesn't work, the instinct is to assume you just haven't understood enough. So you go deeper. Another book, another podcast, one more layer back to your childhood, maybe to your parents, until you think you found the root. And a whole industry stands ready to sell you the next deeper insight that'll finally set you free. But that belief that the next insight is the one that changes everything is keeping you exactly where you are. Every hour spent going deeper is an hour treating this as an information problem, when it was never an information problem in the first place. Picture yourself reading every book ever written about swimming until you could lecture on buoyancy, stroke mechanics, and breathing. The problem with this is you'd still go under the first time you hit the water until you'd actually practiced. Knowing about something and being able to do it are two different skills, and the space between them has a name. Psychologists call it the knowing-doing gap. That's the name for what's been happening to you. And the research keeps finding the same thing. Understanding your intentions, even deeply, doesn't reliably turn it into following through on them. So if you've understood yourself for years and stayed stuck, you've been using understanding to do a job it can't do. You've been trying to think your way across a gap that only closes through practice. So if more understanding isn't the answer, what is? And notice, in the actual moment the pattern fires, there's no book to reach for. There's just the feeling and what you do with it. Usually that's the in-your-head version of the same trap. You narrate, you explain, you spin the story about why this is happening and what originally caused it. So you're still trying to think your way through this. So what can you do instead? Well, there are a handful of things that generally work here, but let me give you the simplest one to start with, the one I'd build everything else on. And I'll tell you right away that this is going to sound small. If part of you thinks something that minor can't possibly matter, hold on to that thought. We'll come back to it. But here's an analogy first. You don't get stronger by understanding the bicep curl. You get stronger by doing it. And I'm giving you one exercise for now that you can practice and repeat. Not 10 on purpose, because the problem was never that you didn't know enough. It's that knowing isn't doing, and one thing practiced actively beats 10 things collected passively that you never use. One thing before I get into it. I'm not a therapist, and this isn't therapy. I share what I've tested in my own life and what the research backs as someone walking this path, not above it. If you're dealing with something heavy, real depression, anxiety, trauma, please treat this as a companion to proper support, not a replacement for it, and reach out to a licensed professional. So, effect labeling is your first exercise, and you change by repeating it every time the pattern fires. It's simple and it works like this. The next time the pattern fires, the reach for the phone instead of sleep, the pull to avoid that email, the heat right before the fight, don't explain it. Name the raw feeling in plain words. This is anxiety, this is shame, this is anger. That's it. Now, you might think you already do this because you narrate yourself constantly. But watch what you might actually do. You name the behavior. Like, this is my avoidance thing, or this is the busy work I do instead of the real task. And then you chase the story, the why, where it came from. But naming the feeling is a different move, and this is important. Don't name the behavior, don't name the cause, but get to the feeling underneath. The fear, the shame, the anger, the insecurity, or whatever it might be that you are feeling at that moment. And I'll be straight about what naming the raw feeling does because I won't oversell it. In studies, putting a feeling into words takes the edge off. It reduces the activity in the brain's alarm system and activates more in the parts that are related to rational behavior. The effect is real and it shows up most when the feeling is strong. And strong feelings are exactly where this technique earns its keep. For milder stuff, naming can actually stir it up rather than settle it. And it's not an off switch that works overnight, but it needs you to put in the reps to become effective over time. It's an exercise, it's something to practice and test on yourself. And one thing matters in how you do it. You name the feeling to be with it, not to make it leave. The research on the opposite move, that is, trying to shove a thought or feeling out of your mind, generally finds that fighting the experience does worse than allowing it. Suppressed thoughts tend to come back. Just think of the pink elephant you're not supposed to think of. And sometimes they return even stronger, and bottling up the feeling drives your stress response up, not down. Naming runs the other way. You turn toward the feeling in words and let it be there. The moment it becomes name it so it goes away, you've turned it back into a fight, and the fight is what keeps it alive. None of this is new, by the way. Watching a feeling without grasping at it or shoving it away is the same move at the heart of the Buddhist mindfulness practice of feeling. And the practice of noticing thoughts without being them is also a core theme in the Hindu philosophy of Advaita Vedanta. Science is slowly catching up to what contemplatives mapped a long time ago. And I'm not above any of this, by the way. I still catch my patterns firing regularly. The difference now isn't that they stopped, it's that I can name what's happening. And when I do it, it loosens. It's not gone, but it feels lighter. And feeling lighter repeatedly is how it slowly changes. Now, back to that reaction I told you to hold on to about this sounding small. If part of you thought, that's it, name a feeling, come on, give me the real technique, that pull towards something more advanced, 10 tools instead of one maybe, that's the exact trap we just named. It's the part of you that wants to keep collecting understanding instead of doing one small thing repeatedly. You don't like understanding. You probably have a whole library of insights and knowledge. So one exercise, not 10, on purpose. So you can focus, get the reps in, and let it actually become a new default. Only once it sticks, it is worth layering something else on top. If this is useful, if it's a different conversation than the one you usually get, subscribing to my channel and hitting that notification bell is how you'll know when the next video comes out. And if you're looking for more, sign up for my mailing list and you'll get the occasional email with a bit of insight. Both are completely free and no pressure. It just helps me keep making these videos. You'll find the link to the mailing list in the description below. So, back to where we started. You watching yourself do the thing, narrating it perfectly, unable to stop. Picture that moment again, except this time, instead of explaining it to yourself, you name what's underneath. This is fear, maybe, or this is shame. And maybe it loosens, just slightly. Maybe you still don't send that email, but you met the moment with a different move than running the same commentary. And that move repeated is the path. Not because it's magic, but because it's something you actively do, not something you passively understand. This channel is not about instantly arriving at the version of yourself you want to be. I haven't arrived there. You can't simply manifest yourself into how you want to be by thinking about it. It's about practicing and crossing the gap between what we understand and how we actually live, one exercise at a time, together. Now you've got the first exercise. Next time the pattern fires, don't go looking for a deeper reason. Just name the feeling, and do it again the next time, and the next. Thanks for staying till the end. That says something about you. The next video takes the next exercise in the practice, so I'll see you there.